The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, is the Grand Bahama Port Authority standing in the way of the much anticipated economic revival on the island, or is the order to stop the demolition of the Port Lucaya marketplace simply due process? We take a look tonight. Also tonight, fishermen speak out on the U.S.'s 12.5% tariffs just as lobster season gets set to start. Have you all heard of this before? The Governor General pardons a Haitian woman who overstayed her time here in the Bahamas. The woman was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment, but tonight she's free. And later, Bid Caribbean talks about consumer education. All you need to know before your next purchase. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. A multi-million-dollar redevelopment project has hit a snag in Freeport. The Grand Bahama Port Authority ordered that work stop of the demolition at Port Lucaya Marketplace, citing a lack of approvals. The order has left investors and residents, business owners, and many others asking the same question. Is this about enforcing the rules, or is it red tape? And is that red tape getting in the way of Grand Bahama's economic revival? Take a look.
Our Grand Bahama, we're here at Port Lucaya Marketplace, in particular the Port Lucaya Marina. And today we have
Glenn Delancey, Group Managing Director.
Okay, so Glenn, tell us a little bit about what's happening here today. I think we saw some stuff flying around, whereas there's a stop order for the work that's already progressing.
We did receive yesterday about 10 minutes to 5, right before we shut down the office. We received notice from the Grand Bahama Port Authority, in particular the inspection department, stating that there is a stop work order for the marina. What they did in the overzealousness of someone, they have on this permit the repairs for the marina. We are not repairing the marina. We are demolishing the marina. Over the past 9 days, we, along with our construction team, a very reputable construction company, has applied for work permit. Leading up to Thursday, when we started the demolition, the company, EMM, received verbal communication that they could move forward. And moving forward, we see that as a problem because we know that the actual work permit number would proceed from there. But again, receiving this really now is a stumbling block for us, and it's causing a problem with cost overrun because we're scheduled on time. We have a 4 to 6 week period to finish this, and then we'll move forward with the docks.
Yesterday, this show, meaning me, I reached out to the Grand Bahama Port Authority. I was redirected to other people. Today, I did the same thing and got the same results. And so tonight, the question is the Grand Bahama Port Authority snubbing the government by way of this work stop order? See, when you don't speak to me and you give me the runaround, then I put the questions out there and come up with my own conclusions. And so, with so many people depending on this revitalization, happy to embrace what is new and happening in Grand Bahama, including many things that the Grand Bahama Development Company is doing and all the rest of it. But why stop this? I want to know from the panel this evening, is it simply due process, or do you think that this is another attempt by the Grand Bahama Port Authority to say to whomever, listen, y'all ain't getting nowhere here in Grand Bahama unless you come through us and until we give the green light and say so? Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Peggy Candace and Ellington Ferguson. Good evening to both of you. It's good to have you both here.
Good evening. Thank you once again for inviting me. Good evening,
Good
Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Thank you for having me once again. It's my pleasure to be here.
You all, let's look at this and what's happening. We all know we've been on the sidelines cheering for Grand Bahama now, I mean, for the longest while. We see now what's happening. The economy has taken a turn for the better. Awesome. This here at the Port Lucaya marketplace is key in getting Freeport back on track economically. But yet, you heard the gentleman, cost overruns, this work stoppage. They have the area, I think they're called the Bahama Land Waterways Limited, has purchased to the tune of roughly $22 million that area. And what they're trying to do is demolish and improve a number of docks, because if you all know how it's set up there, there's a number of docks and over water, but they've rotted over the years and are unsafe. But this has been stopped. Your thoughts about how the Grand Bahama Port Authority is showing up?
Good evening once again, Shanique. I have questions of my own. I was following the story all day, asking little questions on social media platforms. My question is Grand GBPA making decisions in the best interest of Grand Bahama and Grand Bahamians? That is my first question. The second question is Grand Bahama Port Authority working against progress in Grand Bahama. To me, it is both. Answer is yes. I think no for the first answer. I don't think they are making decisions that are in the best interest of the development and the economic progress of Grand Bahama or Grand Bahamians. And I don't think, I think the decision are selfish. It seems to be personal. I need to ask another question to the government. How do you divorce yourself from Grand Bahama Port Authority? And why have you discontinued trying to get the money back what they hold them? Because look like they want to play tough. It makes no sense stopping demolition when it is in the best interest. If the marine is rot, why consider repair? Why not break down and start again? And if investors are willing to invest in doing that, what is the big problem?
Well, I read, and I'm sure you both saw the same articles I did, that the Grand Bahama Port Authority is saying, listen, this sale has to be absolutely complete. All papers have to be in and signed, and then they give the approvals because after all, they provide the oversight. Your thoughts on that?
Shanique, I read this whole story and I watched it with great interest. And the bottom line, my concern here is for Freeport, the continued success and development of Freeport, and by extension, the whole island of Grand Bahama. These are the people that really matters in this equation. Here it is, whereas the Freeport, the Port Authority is supposed to be the one really going out there, finding investors, bringing business to Freeport. Here is the government stepping in to make this happen. The government and the Port Authority have been having their saga ongoing. And here is the Grand Bahama Port Authority, in my estimation, trying to play its political game with the government.
Yes.
And really, they're going to let it go through, but they just want to inject in there, poking their fingers in the face of the government. These people announced that they were going to begin this demolition. I mean, they even got sending the notice wrong. They sent a notice to discontinue repair work. They're not doing no repair work. No. They're doing demolition. I believe when they sent that notice out that they were going to commence demolition, it was then, if the Grand Bahama Port Authority was operating in good faith, they should have said, hey guys, look here, y'all didn't do this or y'all didn't do that. Okay, I don't think this is now time to play games. This is the whole economy of Grand Bahama, Freeport, that we're trying to get started, trying to get that city, that island going again. And here's the Grand Bahama Port Authority. What is the relevance of the Grand Bahama Port Authority to the life of Freeport and Grand Bahama? We know what have happened in the past, and thank God for what have happened in the past. But are the players today, are they serious about the well-being of the people of Freeport? Are they serious about the development for what this means for Grand Bahama? I don't think they are.
Their actions don't speak
I don't think they are. And they need to stop playing games and get rid of the people, let that thing go, and whatever they need to sit down and discuss, discuss it, but let this project go on. Let's get this island nation running
How
again.
do you think investors have been discouraged? You remember when this administration was first elected and they made many trips. Among them was a trip to somewhere in the Middle East. I believe it was Dubai. And the Prime Minister came back and reported that he met with investors who were interested in the Bahamas but found no interest in Grand Bahama. Now we have investors there who according to reports, have purchased the Port Lucaya marketplace, ready to get moving, ready to have that area, I guess, re-envisioned and just have it be the thriving commerce center that it used to be and even exceed what once was. But what does this do to investors? In terms of encouraging them, in terms of attracting them, in terms of having them want to be players in Grand Bahama?
As an investor, I'm sure they're asking the question, because if the government give their approval, they reach the Grand Bahama, they start working, and then the Port Authority can stop the work. And so who's in charge? Who's hindering progress in Grand Bahama? Who's trying to advance the economy of Grand Bahama? And are the two agencies, the two governing body, which is so conflicting to have two governing bodies in a country that are not obvious to me and to most, not working together. It is apparent from all actions the last 2 years that Grand Bahama Port Authority is trying to flex its muscles. I believe more pressure or continual pressure needs to be applied to them to repay the outstanding. Why you don't flex that? Flex your bank account and pay us. Pay the treasury what you owe us. How about that? Because right now you're coming off the be of problems and we don't want no problems. We want progress. You ain't hear that, eh? Progress.
Sharice, Shanique, if I show up in this studio and I come to do business here and you and Peggy are here, and I expect to sit and have a negotiation, and when I leave from the table is done. If you and Peggy on two different levels, I'm going to shy away. I'm going to try to take my business. I don't want to sit and have a conversation with you, and everything is good, and I go to Peggy, and Peggy say, no, I ain't doing that like that. That can't happen like that. I'm going to shy away and go somewhere else where I can sit down, have one discussion, and move on with my business. And that, I think, has been, over the years, one of the major issues with Grand Bahama. People don't want to sit down and negotiate with two governments.
That's right.
Okay? People don't. It's enough red tape. That's why you find everything continue to comes to New Providence, or it goes to some of the other islands of the Bahamas, and you'll wonder, Lutra and Abaco and the rest of them are doing very well, and they're coming up now. And Grand Bahama is continue to fall backwards. I mean, and so we've got to do better. The Port Authority, listen, guys, you and the government got your issues. Take time, work that out, whatever it comes out to be. But you should not be holding back the progress of businesses coming to Grand Bahama, that the people on this island, in that community, may be able to thrive. There's a lot of other businesses that are now happening in Grand Bahama. Shanique, you talked about it on this show before, and they're waiting for things like this to happen, to come to fruition, so that their businesses, their enterprise can flourish.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Port
Again,
Authority needs to get out of the way.
I reached out to Rupert Hayward yesterday. He responded as well as today. He referred me to the public relations person who yesterday said she was trying to reach out to whomever it was. I heard from neither of them today. Rupert Hayward, come and speak to the Bahamian people, in particular the people of Freeport, Grand Bahama. Let them know what is it that stands in the way of this project moving forward. Grand Bahama certainly needs it. I imagine you collect fees, don't you, as Grand Bahama Port Authority? Any business in the Freeport area must pay fees to Grand Bahama Port Authority. So let the people know what's going on. They're taxi drivers, straw vendors, other merchants who are waiting on this to happen, and then the spin-off effects. So let them know exactly
And in the future,
why that's stalled.
At minimum, get your notice right. At minimum.
And your PR.
They're not doing renovation or repairs. They're doing demolition.
And so if you can't get your notice right, your PR together, and you want to stop progress, you got to be kidding.
Well, the Bahamas Commercial Fisheries Alliance is speaking out about President Donald Trump's 12.5% tariff and what it means for Bahamian exporters and the potential impact on the upcoming lobster season. We get the story from Laurencia
The
Smith.
opening of the lobster season is just 3 days away, but a new 12.5% U.S. export tariff has Bahamian fishers watching developments closely. Bahamas Commercial Fisheries Allies President Adrian LaRota says while the industry is ready for the season to begin, the new tariffs could place additional pressures on fishers who already face a number of challenges.
Still make some money, make a profit. I mean, it's going to be tight, because, considering this 12.5% now, because we may have to eat that. And of course, when you have to eat 12.5%, that trickles into 15% and in some cases 20%.
With the clock ticking down to the start of the season, LaRota says the industry is hopeful government efforts to secure exemption for Bahamian crawfish and stone crab exports will be successful. In a July 24th statement, the Minister of Marine Resources, Jomo Campbell, said government is actively seeking that exemption to protect one of the country's most important export industries, a move LaRota says that his members fully support.
Some advantages with the U.S. and being a safe partner for the U.S. Okay, we've always enjoyed favored nation status, and our fisheries products was always exempt from taxes going into the EU, to European countries. So we'd like to see the same, for going into the U.S. Right?
The new tariff is a part of a broader U.S. trade policy targeting countries the United States says have not done enough to prevent the import of goods produced using forced labor. We asked LaRota what steps are being taken as they prepare for the possibility of higher exports.
Looking for new markets, and we are exploring more exports into the EU. More exports into Asia. We are looking for newer markets, and that is panning out. So, but there are attendant costs that comes with that.
Meanwhile, Campbell says his Ministry of Marine Resources, along with the Ministry of Finance, the Bahamas Custom, the Bahamian Embassy in Washington, will work directly with processors and exporters to help manage shipment as the new tariff takes effect. He also sought to reassure both the industry and the public, stressing that the tariff does not affect the domestic market export to Canada or the European Union or the opening of the 2026 lobster season. Laurencia Smith, Eyewitness News.
U.S. Peggy and Ellington, of course, we know that this really impacts those lobster fishermen who we know there's some legacy ones in certain family islands and even in Grand Bahama who export, especially to the United States, and this is what they are a little nervous about.
Well, if the minister said it won't affect the lobster season, then what is the uproar? What will it affect? Who will it affect? And how can this government negotiate a better deal? Also taking consideration taxation that is placed on American goods. So there must be some common agreement and in the best interest of fishermen.
Shanique, 2 points on this. Number one, the Bahamas is also a high tariff jurisdiction. We tax, some U.S. goods as high as 85%. That's 1 point. Second point, I think there is some miscommunication somewhere in this whole thing, some misunderstanding. Because what the U.S. is saying is that for us and other countries to put laws in place, and I think the Bahamas have done some law regulation recently. And yes. I'm not sure the U.S. are aware of this, but to put laws in place that would state that we would not import no goods where it is evident that there have been forced labor. I think the Bahamas have done some things.
Yes, there's been.
And again, I'm not sure whether Washington is aware to the extent of what laws we pass. I think that need to be properly communicated, and hopefully that our Foreign Affairs Minister and those ambassadors in Washington would go ahead and kind of try and clear this up. That's where the U.S. stand. Do we have laws in place that would speak to that?
Well, Senator Latre Raming spoke to that and said that they are trying to make the relevant authorities aware that the Bahamas has recently amended laws and passed laws that obviously speak against that and has a position against it. When we come back, the Governor General pardons a Haitian woman who was sentenced to 6 months for overstaying, and a man steals, get this y'all, 10 crabs from a woman. 10 crabs. These are obviously some exotic looking crabs. Beyond the Headlines is back after this.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokesmodel, and I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie Banana coming here just now.
Uh-oh. Luckily, it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. They're big enough now to handle your big loads, you know. Yeah, like your comfort on your blanket. But just look at us. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Oh, stop! Help! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Superwash washes you, presses you, and entertains you 24/7.
1, 2, 3, what you gonna choose? Strawberry swirl, caramel too. Cookie dough bite, brownie swirl dream. Oreo crunch, make the whole team scream. Gotta be frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Gotta be frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Swirl it, twist it, taste that wave. Gotta be frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Cinnamon toast on a cool vanilla. Chocolate base and the flavor gets bigger. Sweet on sweet, yeah, that's the fun. Better get one, better run, run, run. Gotta be frosty, gotta be Wendy's.
A lot of people know CBS Bahamas and the CBS Pro Store thanks to our beautiful retail stores. But what you may not know is contractors love shopping here as well. Whether you need a flat rack of shingles, a truckload of drywall, or a pallet of joint compound, we can make it happen with unbeatable pricing, fast turnaround times, and excellent communication. That's why contractors love shopping with CBS Bahamas. Learn more at cbsbahamas.com.
Think you know a lot about money? Then prove it. What if one sound could win you big cash? Listen carefully. Then tell us exactly how much money went through the machine. One guess, one sound, one chance to win. Listen, guess, win. It's the sound of money. Brought to you by 103.5 The Beat. Powered by Island Lux Quick 5.
So what are your thoughts about this? A Haitian woman who was sentenced to prison for overstaying in the Bahamas has withdrawn her appeal after receiving a pardon from the Governor General. Karen Othello had challenged the 6-month prison sentence imposed after she pleaded guilty to overstaying in November 2025. However, her attorney told the Court of Appeal that Othello had been granted a pardon and was repatriated to Haiti on June 18th, prompting her to withdraw the appeal. Prosecutors did not object. The court dismissed the appeal, leaving her conviction and sentence in place. Well, she is in Haiti tonight, but your thoughts about that? What was very interesting and obviously sort of unprecedented, is not a regular occurrence, that an immigration sentence for violating immigration laws of the Bahamas is pardoned by the Governor General. Have you, Peggy and Ellington, have you all ever heard of a pardon for an immigration offense?
No, ma'am. I think special circumstances probably they did a way of plea deal, and where it is agreed that she would go back to Haiti, and I guess on those grounds, the Governor General, which is different. How the Governor General getting that, I would like to know, ma'am, how are you getting that? But you use your discretion and you granted a pardon, and she's now back home, hopefully for good.
Shanique, I've heard of Nolly prosecute. This is the first time that I've heard on the level of the Governor General intervening. So I have questions as to how did it get to that level? What is the relationship? How did it get to the Governor General? This is very concerning. I mean, it's good to know that we do have that level of system. I know we had in the U.S., they got the presidential
They have
pardon and all of that.
presidential
And then we know we got now a situation where some folks were pardoned and it was an electric pen. It was not necessarily Joe Biden's signature. Was this authentically Mother Pratt's signature? So I got a lot of questions.
Mother Pratt, you know what they do.
So it's very interesting. I never heard about it.
So I want to ask you both how difficult it is to separate humanitarian sort of concerns from immigration enforcement.
Well, I hope they ain't open a can of worms. We talk about humanitarian concern. Now I could see lawyers line up, say, you do it for Mary Jane right here. And so I hope you all didn't open a can of worms. I hope that it is justified. It'll be good to know the details of why and on what grounds that she was allowed to be pardoned, or it's just like, woman, go home, sin no more.
Yeah, absolutely. I must agree with Peggy. Yeah, I think it's for the Bahamian public's consumption. It's good to know the details on what grounds, and I'm sure that the majority of Bahamian was never aware that our Governor General is in the position to produce pardon. It tells me now that a lot of our conversation about the position of a Governor General being there ceremonial doesn't quite hold water. This position obviously carries a little more weight, and some things can happen, and that whole thing of the monarchy is a little more powerful than we think over the Bahamas. Very interesting.
Lawyers line up.
Well, I tell you, we'll see exactly.
You could think it's a ceremony at Government House with the line.
The line, that's right.
We'll see how this plays out, because you know they just like, well, precedence has been set.
That's
absolutely.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Peggy, you said a can of worms. How about a can of crabs? A man is facing 14-day sentence in prison after 14 days after he admitted to stealing 10 land crabs. Robert Colley could avoid the 2-week stay behind bars by paying caller Culmer $140, the value of the crabs. Now, those crabs,
They're some expensive
they
crabs.
must have been some special crabs, came from the highest point in Andros.
No, blue ribbon crabs.
You know those the ones that sold in the nice seafood restaurants.
Then
You know
Cook.
those ones. Colley told Senior Magistrate Algernon Allen Sr. that he did landscaping for Culmer. And that she owed him $120 for cleaning her yard. Now you're gonna hold on now. Speaking of pardon.
Yeah,
Colley alleged
So
that
what?
he went to her home on Tyler Street in Chippenham to collect his money, but she wasn't home. Colley said that his wife was upset because there was no food at the house and no money to buy the food.
Cook some crab and rice.
Of course, he was not paid. So he took the crabs, which were on the porch. The magistrate told Colley that his behavior couldn't be condoned and that he should have sued Culmer to recover what was allegedly owed to him. At the time of his arraignment, Colley had already spent 2 days. Man, you
I
don't do
call
that.
him Mother Pratt right now.
Yeah, no, call her, because this gonna have to be.
I call him Mother Pratt on the phone.
Miss Culmer, you owe this man. You can't be conveniently going places and not being home and somebody come to collect them. You know what the man wife say? Hi. Something need to be in this pot.
Yeah.
The man got them crab. Listen
And
to
the
me.
man clean your yard.
And for 120, and then when 10 crabs start costing 140, man, you all have to be fair, God is watching. Mother Pratt.
As you call her, let me just move this along, and please let me know what she says. Tonight, a number of concerns are emerging from inside one of the country's busiest tourist attractions, where vendors say their sales are being heavily impacted. We get the story from Rebecca Bain.
And here is the torture. Something needs to be done.
For many vendors, the downtown straw market is more than a tourist attraction. It's their livelihood. But they say working conditions have become increasingly difficult, with excessive heat inside the building topping the list of their concerns.
We really need air conditioning here because we're losing so much sales every day. The guests are complaining. The other day I had a heart patient. He was so hot I had to take him upstairs and he almost fell off.
Because, that's our bread and butter, basically. And the temperature at this point is outrageous.
A lot of times the tourists come right as far as where I am, and then they say it's too hot. So they go back to the ship. And because it's so hot, you could see, if you stand out to the back, you could see the tourists going back to the ship and they're not purchasing anything.
Vendors say they have been promised an air conditioning system for months, but claim progress has been slow. Straw Vendors Advancement Association President Agnes says she's been in regular contact with the Ministry of Works in an effort to get the issue resolved.
In those meetings, I personally, along with the other president, asked the minister, because during that time it was just on spring break. We asked for September, which is the slower period. So I would be a hypocrite to talk about the cooling system if we asked for September.
And while they continue to wait for the new cooling system, vendors say they're also pushing for a more welcoming environment inside the market.
They also need to shut down the market and do a deep cleaning. The place is dirty because we had a lot of roaches coming up. We had rain, it just overflowed the place. And here's deplorable. It really, the conditions, the working condition is inhumane.
Right now, I'm standing in the middle of the straw market, and as you can see, these stalls are closely packed together, making it rather difficult for these tourists to navigate the area. We spoke to this vendor, and she believes that the market has officially outgrown its space.
There are more people is coming in, and so it would be more people, because if one get a stall, you know, the rest more stall too. And I don't think that should be fair.
But not every vendor shares the same perspective.
We are not outgrowing the place. It's just that the authority allowed the vendors to put the things in the road, because when we moved in here, everything was fine. But they allowed the vendors to put the things in the road.
We are at the point now where they think that is that we're overcrowding the market, but it's not actually the vendors, you know. It's just the space, and the market is too small for the crowd.
While opinions differ, many agree that improvements to the straw market would benefit both vendors and the thousands of visitors who pass through its stores each year. Rebecca Bain, Eyewitness News.
Peggy in Ellington, I'm wondering, when did that market become so crowded? And then if you drive I think it's Prince George Wharf is the name of the pathway, you would see, I mean, from the beginning of that all the way down until the entrance to the cruise port, you see just basically another outdoor market. Mm-hmm. But who gives approval for that to be bursting at the seams like the way it is?
I think they have a straw market authority, Lightbridge Authority, that process application. The gentleman made it sound like the market shrink. It did not shrink. There's more people in the market. But Janique, I want to add, I don't know if it's still $35 a month or a week, but if you're going to get a cooling system, you must expect to pay a little extra, because it's going to cost extra to maintain. Yeah. And as for cleaning cockroach and rats,
stop eating in the
food,
market.
Don't eat your food there, don't leave your garbage there. If you're doing that, then you are the problem.
Shanique, I got to give credit to former Prime Minister Perry Christie in his original design of the straw market. Mm-hmm. People don't talk about that, but I remember Perry Christie wanted to design a structure that would be able to take care of itself. It was going to be a multi-story structure. They were going to have a section where there would have been a restaurant or cafeteria away from the market itself. A lot of people, they go in the market and they eat and they drop food about. And once you drop food, the fellas coming. Mm-hmm. The fella, the roach and the rat, they gonna hang around. And once they know food is be there, they gonna make their dwelling place near, right, so they can always be the first one to get the food. And so yes, you gotta take on that responsibility. But yes, the whole design, the whole concept of what former Prime Minister Perry Christie wanted to do with that straw market, I supported it. And it's a travesty. It's sad that it was not allowed to go on in that original form. It was changed when they lost the government. And so yes, and now what happens sometimes is that and from time to time, the Straw Market Authority try to correct it, but straw vendors are hiding their stuff all over the place, and it blocks the air from moving. So the market feels and become more congested when it's not allowed to flow freely through the market as it should. But yes, a lot of vendors, every aisle is packed, and you got to almost twist sideways to get through the aisles. It's very congested, and the summer has been extremely hot, so quite naturally it will get extra hot in that place.
I agree. Well, here's another issue. Transport Minister Leon Lundy said a critical meeting is scheduled between the Ministry of Transport and the Taxi Cab Union President tomorrow, following a protest at the Lyndon Pindling International Airport earlier this month that brought traffic to a standstill. The protest, according to taxi union President Tyrone Butler, was a result of boiling frustrations that livery drivers were unlawfully swiping jobs from taxi drivers.
Well, at the end of the day, we're at the table now. We have a high-level meeting on Wednesday. I know they turned over their negotiations with their TUC president, Mr. Obi Ferguson. I've already spoken to him, and also the Minister of Tourism, Mrs. Glenna Sana Martin. She's spoken to them also. And as I said, Wednesday, we're getting together so we could have some final talks and some final decisions what has to be made.
Well, of course, you remember last week I had the Livery Drivers Association here on the show. They spoke about that. It seems as though taxi drivers just want to resist their presence there on the door or at the airport and the competition that they represent.
I'm hoping, because you're just saying that taxi drivers, I hope it is the meeting of all involved, the leadership of both taxi drivers and livery drivers. Minister Lundy, and Minister of Tourism. But from my understanding, there's little conflict because the livery drivers are booked by application before the trip, and not all the time.
Not in this particular case.
Not in this. So it's a particular case they're dealing with and not a situation to resolve. Okay. I wait for the details.
Well, let me further speak to that, Peggy. What happens is that the whole industry have evolved. And what happens now is that we have livery drivers. Before it just used to be taxi in a lineup system, but now we have taxi and also livery drivers in a call-up system. And so livery drivers are there, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are there on a lineup system, and they're trying to get, when guest comes out, they're trying to get a job and the taxi trying to get a job. Unfortunately, they're right next to each other and it ends up being a hustle. The proper protocols are not put in place, and so you got these two entities side by side as you walk outside hustling, trying to get the next customer, which is not an ideal situation. We've talked about it for years. We've had to put in correctional measures. We've tried to fix it, and things continue to fall apart because of lack of enforcement, lack of proper laws to govern this whole sector. It's a new operation. It was originally started by Glenna Sana Martin allowed it. As like I said, the industry evolved and people were coming out and they were asking for these luxury vehicles. And I think we allow it to get out of control as the way it is now. So you have the fighting between cab drivers and livery drivers on the door in front of the tourists on a daily basis.
Well, Transport Minister Leon Lundy, of course, you know, he had his senior team in various departments on this show last evening. He is saying tonight he simply wants to bring this matter to a mutual benefit for everyone involved. And so the reason that both unions are not going to be at that meeting at the same time is because the taxi union president prefers to meet alone with him, and so that perhaps he can speak with the minister and then they move forward in that regard. So this is how that's going to play out, and then meet with the others and try and obviously bring some mutual understanding and agreements to this matter.
Separately.
Yeah. Well, when we come back, we are going to hear from Bid Caribbean. That name sounds familiar? We'll know more right after the break.
Running out of space? We've got room for that. Welcome to Skyline Storage, your trusted self-storage solution. Skyline Storage offers units from 5x10 to 10x30, climate controlled or standard dry. Perfect for home or business. Located in Westfield Commerce Park, Western New Providence. Your belongings stay safe with gated access and 24/7 surveillance starting at $175 a month. Reserve, pay, and move in online. No phone calls, no paperwork. Visit SkylineStorage.com. Skyline Storage. Storage made simple.
Wealth should not only belong to a select few. At InvestStar, we believe the door should be open to everyone. We provide options for planning a better future. Our investment funds are designed to assist you in reaching your long-term financial goals. Let us show you how.
Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well, eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza, Paradise Island. Paradise Premium Foods. Taste the difference.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Great to have you all tuned in. You want to pull up a chair for this because so many Bahamians play in the, obviously we're all consumers. Many people play in the auctioning space, or rather import and just trying to do business outside the Bahamas, in the Bahamas, and merge the two. Well, Bid Caribbean is here in person. You all aware of them because you've been doing business with them and understand what they're all about, but they're here to continue the consumer education campaign that they have launched and to make you more aware of exactly what's possible and how you can do it more seamlessly and easier. Remember we talked about the tariffs and whatnot earlier? Well, we're going to hear exactly what they have to say about that. And so good evening and welcome to Beyond the Headlines. Joshua Paul from Bid Caribbean. Joshua, it's great to have you here. Good evening. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Very great to have you as well. Thank you for having me today,
Yes.
honestly. And definitely look forward to inciting people on Bid Caribbean, what we do and how we do it and how we assist people importing vehicles.
Yeah, that's huge. That's
Definitely.
huge here.
Definitely.
How does Bid Caribbean plan on staying on top of and making itself aware of maybe new laws as far as that's concerned, so that the person importing and Bid Caribbean has an easier process of doing it?
Right. So, the first thing I'd like to say, I always tell people, have more information than not, do your research, ask questions. And for us being industry leaders, we typically want to be on top of that by looking at Trump's new 12.5%. And that has been raging. And most clients come in and,
Across the region
exactly,
at different points, huh?
Right, exactly. And we were telling clients that, it's more on the export compared to the import, so no worries on it, right? So we are keeping ahead of that by keeping prices very transparent to our clients, also that are now using Bid Caribbean as well.
So tell us more about Bid Caribbean. I mean, I'm sure there are many people who are aware of it because they've used the service already. But for those of us who don't know and hearing for the first time, give us an idea about Bid Caribbean, where you're based, but where you service.
Right. So Bid Caribbean serves the wider Caribbean, right? Not only the Bahamas, it originates in the Bahamas, but also Turks and Caicos. We do have office spaces both in Fort Lauderdale and Miami that facilitate inspections prior to the vehicle arriving to the islands. And Bid Caribbean helps facilitate people who are a little bit more savvy, that wants to see vehicles on their own, give them over 132,000 vehicles to look at, and also facilitates the fact that now people have access to know pricing when it comes to purchasing, not only purchasing a vehicle, but also the landed costs, customs costs, VAT duty, and be able to deliver their vehicle confidently.
We also hear about Lux First Choice cars. Tell us about that. What does that mean? What is the difference between Bid Caribbeans and Lux?
Great question, great question. So Lux First Choice actually is our parent company, and it facilitates clean, ready-to-drive vehicles for those who would prefer a more tailored, hands-off service, end-to-end managed experience, while Bid Caribbean serves as a self-serve platform, marketplace per se, that would allow people to be a little bit more hands-on, and also allows people to get, you see, some people want cosmetic, they don't mind the cosmetic damage, so therefore it lowers the purchase price and ultimately allows them to import the vehicle for a lesser, more efficient price range.
So people can go on to the Bid Caribbean platform and be able to see vehicles from anywhere across the United States?
That is correct. That is correct. All 50 states.
Very good, and it's easier.
Definitely.
Now, many people assume that importing vehicles is a tedious process. Let's just talk about first, how does Bid Caribbean assist in making that not as tedious as it is, and it is.
Right. And that's a very good question, Shanique. And I mean, it may seem like that at first. Of course, you have inspections, you have, customs paperwork, boat paperwork, and all the documents involved. But typically, Shanique, I tell people, if you have an organized process in place, it ultimately makes it 10 times straightforward. And ultimately, I like to tell people that, if you start off with, in a phase that it's simple and you're informed, that allows you to make the process 10 times easier. Because, an informed buyer ultimately would make a more long-term, decision that helps them later on down the line.
And they need that assistance, because people sometimes feel as though, whoa, what did I just import? What did I just bring in? Or how can people have better access to information about a vehicle?
That is very good. And that's what the platform actually tailors to do, where you see technology is advancing. Right? And so information is definitely key on the platform for people to understand themselves, better yet have 24-hour support that would allow them to acknowledge themselves and further understand exactly what is there to do.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when purchasing imported vehicles?
Oh, very good question. Focusing on purchase price, right? And you'd be surprised the fact that I say that, but we've seen a lot of people get burned at the fact that they see a particular price online, $5,000, and assume that's what they're getting once it's in the Bahamas or anywhere in the Caribbean. And, we have people that are not being transparent, and that what the platform comes back to being transparent on.
Now, for the person importing their first vehicle, first, you understand, you know how insignificant that is, how it feels. What advice would you give them in trying to walk through and make the best decision for them, wherever their budget point might be, but just to kind of assist them and that they're happy and pleased with what it is they saw, fell in love with, and now imported?
Very good question. People may be surprised when I say this, but one, take your time, right? Do your research, right? Look at the full cost. And most importantly, understand who you're working with. That person that educates you compared to pressure you into, purchasing.
Okay. And so take your time and just kind of look, obviously go to the information portal, see what this vehicle is all about, what its history is, the ownership and all the rest of it in terms of maybe obviously the mileage and all that, but don't feel rushed into making this purchase.
Correct. And it all leads back to pricing. When people see very good price, everything else don't exist.
All the other questions and important information and investigation, they push to the side.
They push to the side.
Where do you see the biggest opportunities for Caribbean consumers today when purchasing vehicles?
Very good question. I see that consumers are having way much more options, Caribbean buyers at that. And with technology nowadays, pushing out that people have a broad expansion on different markets where they can get vehicles. I see a very big uptake and opportunity tremendously in, newer local marketplaces that are able to connect buyers and sellers alike very easily. Right, and that's the future that that's the future that we're trying to carve now. So therefore, the path forward is very easy to see.
Yeah. Now, of course, you were here this week. You're gonna come back on the show later in the week. So you all, if you want information, how can people even get in touch with you tonight in advance for when you return later in the week?
Most certainly. You could either reach out to us directly. We have a support team that's 24 hours on www.bidcaribbean.co.com, or we do have a hotline at 812-9510 that you can reach out directly.
Now, what are you up to for the week in terms of continuing to get this word out, let people understand their options, and when it comes to getting the vehicle of their dreams, what are you going to be doing between now and when you return?
Most certainly. The biggest thing is customer service. I mean, the more people reach out, we're constantly hiring new team members. So therefore, we keep that, that level of service high. That's what we're definitely focusing on this week, and bring forth people their dream vehicles to the islands.
Joshua Paul, by the way, which other islands do you service? You mentioned Turks and Caicos.
Very good, very good. So as of right now, we started in the Bahamas, and we serve all of the islands.
Oh, good.
We've imported all the islands, and then we've had Turks and Caicos clients start reaching out to us, and now we're serving them. And we're currently looking at Dominican Republic, and then also Jamaica, Trinidad, that they're reaching out to us. So we do see the market is adjusting very quickly and creates a very big opportunity, not only for us, but also the Bahamas being that base to trade to other countries.
Awesome. Joshua Paul, thank you very much from Bid Caribbean. You all go to the platform and see what you like, and perhaps see what Joshua has to share with us later in the week when he returns, because he is here to kind of really answer your questions, make it as easy as possible, as informative as possible, so that your next purchase is your best purchase and something that's lasting and durable to serve you for as long as you would like it to serve you. Thank you very much, Joshua Paul from Bid Caribbean, for hanging out here with me on Beyond the Headlines this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you later in the week for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Of course, a big thank you to the Hot Topics panel, Peggy Candace, Ellington Ferguson, and of course here in this segment, Joshua Paul from Bid Caribbean. I also thank all of you for tuning in this evening. It's been awesome having you along. I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.